Welcome to another edition of Bible Time. This is an on-the-road Bible Time. They're a little shorter than normal, kind of like a text message. I'm coming to you from Meridian, Idaho, and I'm sitting on a golf course that my son Ben and I were able to play a couple of days ago, and we're talking about 2 Kings chapters 3 and 4. And what you see here at the beginning of chapter 3 is the king of Israel, the king of Judah, and the king of Edom going against Moab because Moab has rebelled against Israel. And they're wandering around out in the wilderness, and they're running out of water, and they're afraid they're going to die. And Elisha tells them, no, you're not going to die. God's going to miraculously provide water. And in fact, he says it's a very little thing for God to do this, to provide enough water out in the middle of the desert for all three of these armies. But they fill up these pits with water, and the armies are refreshed. And the next day, the armies of Moab, as they look at those pits of water out there, the way the sun is shining on them, it looks like blood. So they think that these three kings have gotten into a war with each other and killed each other. So they come in, and Israel, Judah, and Edom are able to defeat Moab. And so there's some interesting things there. At the end of the verse, chapter 3, verse 27, there's an interesting verse about the king of Moab sacrificing his son, and wrath came upon Israel. I'd like you to think that through and write any ideas you have in the comments today, and we can interact on that very interesting verse. Chapter 4 shows Elisha doing a number of miracles that demonstrate not only that he's God's man, that he's God's spokesman at the time, but showing God's compassion towards different people in the miracles that Elisha does. And so you got to think about this now. This is written to some exiles, and it's explaining to them how they got to exile, but it's also showing them that their God is the king over all the nations, all the rulers of the world, and that they can trust in him, and that he is a compassionate God, as you see through all the miracles of Elisha. So this is meant to encourage them, and it's to encourage you and me too, that our God, as we think about our world today and the way things are going, our God is still king over all the rulers of the world, and he's still showing compassion to his people. You can trust in him. So let's trust in him today, and we'll look forward to tomorrow for even more Bible Time.